Good evening, everyone. We'll get this down here in just a second. It is JR. Here we go. Me, JR, here with Mike for the Voice of College Football Ohio State postgame show. Great win tonight against Western Michigan. Mike, I got to tell you, man, it feels good to not have to sweat through the game and things going bad. There were other teams today, man. They were sweating. They were having a hard time. Bama's still sweating a little bit with what's going on with them.
I think they just got a little cushion. Yeah.
Did they? Okay. I didn't see that there, but I'm watching this Oregon game right now, and it's 7-3 in the second quarter. I'm like, man, it's nice to just take care of business. So I know I'm doing well. You doing well tonight, man?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Good Buckeye football, man. And, also got to start the day off amazing. Big noon kickoff was amazing. Got to watch that team up north, Sandcastle, just get withered away by the Tide. So that was amazing.
It was truly amazing to watch. Just a great time overall today, and Notre Dame getting upset in the afternoon hour as well. So Marshall last year, this year, Northern Illinois. We're going to be going through it all. If you all want us to talk about that kind of stuff, we'll get into that as well. But we're going to start with the Buckeye game. Obviously, we got a list of topics and things like that from the game we're going to go through. However, if you have anything you want us to talk about, please do put that in the chat. We will also do our best to bring up anything and everything that was going on in the game to talk about. But be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the Voice of College Football so you get all the post-game shows, the show in the middle of the week, generally on Tuesday or on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. with Mark Rogers, Tony Gerdeman, and Steve Hellwagon. And then you'll also get videos from me throughout the week as well. It's a great time. And I see David is in the chat saying our defense. So I think that's the best place to start, Mike. I think we start with the defense. And I think, listen, Cody Simon, first game back. He's back this season, and he had a sack. It was wonderful to see. What were your thoughts on Cody Simon coming back?
Man, it was just good to see the leader of the defense coming back, man. And he set the tone early, and that's what you want to see a leader do. So the defense came out firing. I know Jack Sawyer and his defense has talked about we haven't had a shutout in a long time. We want to get a shutout, especially against opponents like this. They went ahead and did it. Western Michigan, they went ahead, tried to get a field goal, didn't do it, went and blinked off the goalpost. So I'm feeling good about what Cody Simon and what he's led this defense, man, with the block out.
100%. I saw that block O out there. I knew Cody Simon was back. I was just ecstatic to see him out there. One player I've been ecstatic to see out there is number 20, Arvell Reese, and what he's been able to do. His play time was cut a little bit short with Cody Simon making his return. However, he was still out there running around, making plays, going crazy. I can't believe it because I didn't think I'd be saying this 2 games in, but the linebacker room might be one of the deepest rooms on this team with what we've been seeing. I know every other room is crazy deep as well, but I mean, you got Cody Simon, Arvell Reese, CJ Hicks, Sonny Styles, and the list goes on and on and on. Gabe Powers had himself a touchdown last week. So, I mean, the linebacker depth is crazy here. What's your thoughts on that, Mike?
Man, this is what we've been asking for. We've seen the other top programs, rotate and show their depth. And we believe that Ohio State had this and had it in them. We just needed to see it, and I just think you continue to see Arvell Reese stacking games, right? And those reps is going to come up big when we need that guy later down the road, man, because this is a long season. Love what I'm seeing.
Me too, man. Me too. I don't know if I can say like I want to see Arvel Reese play more, but I definitely like when it gets to some of these bigger games, right? Iowa's probably gonna be our first big game. Of course, they had a losing effort today, so it's not probably gonna be a ranked game with the way their schedule is
Mhm.
working out. However, that is still a team we know they have a very strong defense. The offense looks at least a little bit improved, maybe not as much today with Cade McNamara throwing 2 picks, but still, I mean that is a team that's in the top half of the Big Ten, so it's going to be really interesting to see them play. I, I'm torn on these linebackers, right? I want to see Cody Simon, I want to see Sonny Styles, but then
Mhm.
same thing, like I said, Arvel Reese is killing it. CJ Hicks is such a dangerous weapon rushing the quarterback, but at this point, like I don't know if I can justify CJ Hicks getting more time than Arvel Reese. Obviously, we're nitpicking here because both guys
Right.
do real things really really well. But if you're talking about Arvel Reese climbing the depth chart, I know that Will and Mike linebacker are two different things, but I almost think that Arvel Reese is probably the third linebacker in this room to get snaps now. What do you think?
He might be, man. I like it. And here's the thing. This is what James Laurinaitis said. He said that what I'm gonna do is go ahead and whoever's having a better week, that's going the guy who's gonna play, right? And if that's the guy, if Arvel Reese is doing that, I'm happy with it. I'm not gonna complain at all about it. So I love to see it. I want to see, more of the young guys. But I mean, we could still, like I said, you just keep rotating them. And especially if there's no drop off, there's no reason to just not continue with the rotation. Kind of like how we did with our championship year when we was rotating Curtis Grant and Raekwon McMillan out, man. You can do that with these guys. And right now, I think that these are the type of games that you want to see, the depth of these linebackers, because you see what this seems like the coaching staff is doing. Going ahead, getting Arvel Reese ready for Big Ten play, because that's going to be different. That's going to weigh on these guys' bodies. So I like what's going on. And hey, however Laurinaitis says the linebacker depth is, I'm going to trust him because we got the guys.
Yeah, if there's anybody that knows the linebackers, it's James Laurinaitis. I think that he's been huge for this room. I think one of the issues last year with not seeing as much rotation was because Jim Knowles, right? I mean, he's calling plays. He's up there in the box. He's not down there with the guys as much. And so for him, it's probably just like default more times than not. And so you got James Laurinaitis out there and he's not trying to call plays. He's not, involved in all that other stuff. He's just out there trying to put his guys in a position to succeed. And I think it's paying off. I think it's paying dividends. And there's other things we could say about the special teams with Parker Fleming being gone, but James Laurinaitis being out there instead of Parker Fleming, it's wonderful, wonderful to see. Hey, you brought up the national championship team from last time. One of the
Mhm.
similarities I see from this team from that team is the defensive line. Mike, this defensive
Mhm.
line, I'm going to say it, best defensive line in the country, and I'm not afraid to say
Got
it at all. I mean, Tyleek Williams is fantastic. Caden McDonald getting in there is just a dog, man. He is just destroying people in the middle of that offensive line. Jack, Edric Houston got a sack late in the game. JT's looking fantastic. I mean, there's not enough good things you can say about this defensive line right now.
Yeah, honestly, there's not. And one guy who I was high on coming in the preseason, actually, when he was coming in to the class, was Caden McDonald. Man, I was really excited about this guy, and the fact that we got to see him early on in the game was amazing. You just continue to see young guys making plays soon as they go in. And this is what I'm saying. When you're able to rotate and keep these guys fresh, like Larry Johnson used to do, I know how many, like he said, he knows how many snaps these guys can have. He wants them playing at 100%. And what are we seeing when them guys go out there? They're able to play at 100% and continue to make plays, man.
100%, dude. I mean, this defensive line, if anybody is benefiting from staying fresh, it's these defensive linemen. I seen Kenyatta Jackson out there. He's getting time. Caden Curry's getting time as well in defensive end spots. I mean, it's just fantastic to see, and I can't say enough good things about Larry this season and what he's doing. We give James his props. We got to give Larry his props. Larry is
Facts.
somebody last year, he didn't want to rotate as much. He wanted to stick with his starters, his guys. This year, I don't know what got into him. I don't know if him and Jim Knowles had a heart to heart. I don't know what's going on there, but I mean, Larry Johnson this season, at least 2 games in, we'll see what happens when we start facing Iowa and Oregon, teams like that. But at least 2 games in, I don't have enough good things to say about Larry Johnson and the rotations that he's putting out there.
Yeah, you got to respect Larry Johnson. And to be honest, I think last year, Larry, here's my thing. Larry always is wanting to rotate. He's been a rotation guy since he has gotten to Ohio State. That's all we've seen. Even when we have asked for packages, we know Larry Johnson knows how to come up with packages. We got the Rushman package, right? So I think last year was more of an overcorrection on Jim Knowles and Ryan Day with not using rotation on the defensive line. Whereas now you're seeing them allowing Larry to be Larry and do the things that he's good at. And we're seeing the benefits from it. And like I have always said, game reps is always going to be better and beneficial for these guys than practice reps.
100%, 100%. I think that there's less pressing this year. Again, I know it's 2 games in, and I know these are 2 MAC opponents, but still, I feel like there's less pressing this year. Even on the defense last year, it felt like they never felt like they could go out there and try to do something amazing and give up a big play because they didn't trust their offense. And specifically, I mean, I don't want to keep bringing him up because he had a fantastic day today for Syracuse, but specifically, I don't know if they trusted the quarterback. It didn't seem like Ryan Day did, but this year, I mean, Will Howard, man, it looks like everybody trusts him. It looks like everybody trusts this offense. Chip Kelly. We'll get to the offense here in a minute, but I do want to touch on the secondary. Now, before we start giving guys their flowers, let's go ahead and rip apart the refs for a minute because Denzel Burke got ejected. Mike, I literally put my hands over my face and I was like, what in the world? How are you calling this? How are you calling this a targeting call right now and ejecting Denzel Burke? Obviously, it didn't matter. We got Jermaine Matthews, we got Lorenzo Styles, we got Jordan Hancock, we got all these guys in the secondary to play corner. We're good, but still, for Denzel Burke, a leader on this team, it was very frustrating to see.
Yeah, it was frustrating to see. And me being a defensive guy, it's like what can you do, especially when the ball carrier is the one who's putting his head down as well. You're already in form. I mean, I think that this is going to be a long season with Big Ten refs. I could tell that by week 1, even when they were going to replay booth, the Penn State game where the guy got the first down and they didn't, or what was it? I think they stopped the person on the first down and they still gave it to him or something like that. Then Ohio State last week with the Emeka Egbuka call. I mean, we have seen what these Big Ten refs are doing. So, like I always say, never leave doubt, never leave anything in the hands of the refs, man. Good thing that this happened early. Clean that up a little bit. Get your head up just a tad bit. Make it be face mask. I'm not going to complain at it. I'm not going to fault Denzel Burke on it, man. It was a good defensive play. These refs, they just don't know ball, man.
Yeah. I don't fault Denzel. I mean, like I think I said, he kind of got pushed in the back a little bit into the guys. So, and man, we got to start holding these running backs accountable too, because these running backs are just putting their head down and just going like a battering ram. Like, what's the defender supposed to do? Like, you're just supposed to let even that hit that the one guy had on Jordan Hancock. Like, man, he got hit so far back, and he had his head up a little bit, but still the running back was just using it as a battering ram. So no targeting call on that one, but still, we got to start holding these running backs accountable too, so that way they're not they're not targeting the defenders. Now, I'm not advocating for more targeting calls. Please don't hear me saying that, but I am saying sometimes it's not always the defender's fault, and some of these guys really just are trying to get the tackles. So hey, let's give some flowers in the secondary, Mike. Who was somebody you were really impressed with tonight in the secondary? I got one, but I want to hear yours first.
I mean, honestly, Jermaine Matthews. I mean, to be honest, Denzel Burke had to come out. It was a pretty quiet day, I think, until the end of the game when I believe he got an interception, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, it was a beautiful day. I love to see it. I'm very, very impressed with Jermaine Matthews because every time he goes out there, he's making plays, man. This guy, it just, like you were saying earlier about, wanting to see Arvell Reese and these young guys. It is so hard for me to not think about 2025 sometimes. I start thinking about, 2025, all the SFE wide receivers, whoever the quarterback is, like I just think it's going to be a beautiful masterpiece. So this is what you do, as our counterparts up north, the team up north, they're saying, oh, they're satisfied, they're happy with what they got. They are relieved. But here at Ohio State, we don't believe in that. You go out there, you play your hardest, and then every year you reload. No matter if you win, no matter if you lose, you reload.
Yeah, reload the clip, right? You get those guys coming back as well. I went back on a Jack Sawyer tweet the other day and saw that tweet where he was coming back, and it was just like all the feelings of everything after that season and the confidence and knowing we had all these guys coming back. They came back to me. Brian brought up one of the guys I did want to bring up in the secondary, Igbinosun. Igbinosun, he had a little bit of a weird start there at the beginning. He had the pass interference call on him, and I think some people were probably a little frustrated with how handsy he got, but he did end up with a good day. I felt like they were kind of trying to go after him a little bit, and he shut that down right away. He was like, "Nope, Western Michigan, you're not going to come after me. Might have Denzel Burke on the other side, but you still got Davison Igbinosun over here. You can't come at me." But the guy in the secondary I really wanted to give flowers to tonight is Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs played a heck of a game. He was flying all around, man. The broadcasters were talking about it. Like when he decides he's going to do something, he has the confidence to just go and do it. And that's a huge thing for these guys who play safety is like you have to have the confidence to commit to doing it. And then also you have to have the wherewithal to just hit somebody, right? I mean, you can't have no fear. You can't have anything like that going through your mind. You just got to go in there and hit the guy. And that's what Caleb Downs was doing. I was a little critical of him in a video earlier this week where I said he had 3 missed tackles, and I wasn't trying to say like he didn't have a good game against Akron. I was just saying like I want to see those cleaned up. I want to see Caleb Downs, All-American, come in and clean those up. Boy, did he. He was electric out there. He was flying all over the place. I can't say enough good things about Caleb Downs.
Yes, sir. Caleb Downs, man. That's what he came here for. And to be honest, and we finished really close second, to Bama. And when he got here, he said it, all the guys made him feel right at home. So
yep, you love to see it. You love to see it. All right, Mike. I think we got one more thing on defense. 4 sacks this game. Ty Hamilton and Tyleek Williams combined for a sack. Cody Simon, Jack Sawyer, and then the sack late in the game. Edric Houston, he got one as well. ESPN doesn't show it, but I saw it with my own 2 eyes, so I trust myself.
There you go.
What was your thoughts on the pressure on the QB tonight? I mean, we didn't hurt the QB, which that's probably good. We don't want to be hurting these MAC players, but definitely he had a lot of pressure on him. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we want. And getting home. We always heard, like what 2021, 2022. Oh, we're getting pressures, but we weren't getting home. That was like the biggest thing. And now just watching these guys continue to get home, that's exactly what you want to see. It puts the offense in a very bad spot and it takes away their momentum and it allows you to build on your momentum. And then also, like I have always said, it is going to be hard for offensive linemen to go in the game and not get comfortable against the person they are playing because of all of the rotation. Everybody got a different style. How am I going to play to this style? Oh, that style doesn't work well for me. This style doesn't work well for me. Hey, coach, I was never able to get comfortable because of how I was playing like 3 different guys. So I love to see it, man. This is what you want to see, man. It just gets me so pumped for like the regular season, man.
Yeah, man, and I lied. One last thing on the defense, and it also it kind of stems off what you were talking about, the style of play and everybody being fine with it. And we were helped out by a missed field goal, but shutout tonight. No points scored by Western Michigan. Obviously, the kicker doinks the field goal off the post. That helps secure that to actually happen early in the game, and the defense played lights out even with the backups in. So you love to see that. I mean, Mike, is this our only shutout of the season? Are you seeing at least maybe 1, 2, 3 more shutouts? What are you thinking?
I mean, I think our next game against Marshall, we could have a shutout. I mean, I'm not seeing really much from their offense. Their starting quarterback only has 141 yards on the season right now. I mean, it looks like they're going to probably be relying on the run game a lot more, but I mean, I honestly think that going up against Marshall for our third game of the season, that's the only one. We go in the Big Ten play. A lot of these other teams, for what people want to push this propaganda, Big Ten don't have offenses. I think you can see, Aiden Childs, yeah, he struggles, but I think that Michigan State could possibly, get a touchdown. Same thing with Iowa. Iowa looks like they're making plays on offense, and we know how that defense is. Say they get a turnover short side of the field or something like that. So I mean, just looking at this and Dylan Raiola, this man's been cooking past 2 weeks. So I mean, I'm really not seeing it. Maybe Indiana, uh, maybe Purdue, but those are the only ones.
You left out the big one there, Mike. The one at the end of the season. Can you imagine we shut out that team up north, man?
Man,
I would never shut up on Twitter. If that happened,
man.
I would I would never be quiet.
Look, I know some of them has already deleted. I had this folder from all of them and their little Texas takes because I had my take on
Right.
them going into the season. And what I found was there were a lot of things. This tweet is no longer available because the account no longer exists. There was a lot of those.
Wow.
So I mean, it's not standing in the paint is crazy. I'm just glad that, JR guys like us, we stood in the paint.
We're here, man. We're here. And if the Buckeyes do lose this season, let's hope not. But if it does, we'll be here. We'll be talking about it. It's going to happen with us being here after every single game, no matter what happens. So you can count on that. All right, let's switch over to the offense now. A lot of good defensive talk there. A lot of fun stuff talking about that. But we got to get to the offense. And last time we started with Will Howard. Man, let's start with the guy who started us off with the scoring, Jeremiah Smith. Dude, I'm gonna run out of things to say about this kid. This kid is amazing. He is so fast. That breakaway touchdown, which by the way, we'll get into Will Howard. We talk about that great decision by Will Howard. The decision making was off the charts with that play and other plays tonight as well. But man, Jeremiah Smith coming into this game just completely wrecking this Western Michigan secondary. I'm trying to figure out exactly how many yards. Yeah, 5 receptions, 119 yards, 1 touchdown, 70-yard reception for that touchdown. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Man, this is what Ohio State has. I felt kind of been missing for the past since Garrett Wilson and Olave left was the yak. And you get it from Jeremiah. I mean, 70-yard passing touchdown. You can't ask for it any better. And for a minute, you're like, is he going to get hawked? Are they going to get him? No, the guy's from South Florida. You can see that South Florida speed. And, I remember in the offseason, a lot of people said, hey, y'all don't have team speed. Y'all don't have this. I don't want to hear it, man. You could literally see it. You can you can see it. And I saw a picture somebody posted, and it's just Jeremiah and 5 defenders just chasing behind him. Another one, Berm tweeted out, shout out Berm. He tweeted out Seth McLaughlin just waving in the background. That was beautiful, man. So the offensive line, they're loving it. It's just bringing a different spark to this offense and to this team.
True, man. True. There are so many things with Jeremiah Smith, and I felt like Mecca Ibuka had some really good yard after catch as well today. He had that little drag route there at the beginning of the game. He got 20, 30 yards after that as well. Maybe not 30, probably about 20, 15, 20 yards after that one. That was awesome to see. I mean, that's one thing that Will Howard is really going to be helped by. If he can give these balls in time to these receivers over the middle, he's going to be helped out so much by their yards after catch and what they can do. It's something we saw a lot with Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. Now, granted, CJ Stroud, was basically handing the ball off to him. So it's easier to get yards after catch when you're getting the
Right.
ball in the exact right spot. But still, I mean, it's fantastic to see on the receivers. Mike, we had 12 different guys catch a ball today. 12 different guys. We're talking Patrick Gerd, we're talking Will Kazmarek, Kojo Antwi, James Peoples, Bennett Christian with a touchdown today from Julian Sain. What's your thoughts on just how many guys caught balls in this game?
Yeah, I actually put that in my notes. It was actually funny because on the first drive, you had, Jeremiah catching one, Emeka catching one, G. Scott catching one. And so I was just watching that and I'm like, I think a lot of people are going to touch the ball today. I could just tell, man. And you also saw, the coaches rewarding play. Carnell had a nice hard block, throwing the dude out of bounds. Come back next play, big play by Carnell, man. I loved it. I love what I'm seeing. And hey, like Will said, you got all these little gadgets, man. All you got to do is go out there and be a point guard, not do too much. Just let your playmakers make plays. And, I remember JT Barrett talked about that all the time. I don't got to do too much. I just got to let my playmakers make plays, get them the ball and let them go to work. That's my job.
True, man, true, and it's awesome to see because that's what Will Howard needs, right? We're not asking Will Howard to go out here and be, Carson Beck or Caleb Williams. Like, we're not asking him to go out there and be this incredible playmaker. We're just asking him to get the ball to the guys who can do something with it, whether that's yards after catch, whether that's them high pointing a one-handed catch or whatever. Just put it in the vicinity, let them get the ball, and they're going to work. Not just that, but also, I mean, we saw some option tonight as well with the running backs, right? I mean, Will Howard was out there. He was doing some fake handoffs and then he was running off to the side, and then they'd come right after Will Howard. Then he pitched it out to Travion Henderson, Quinshaw Judkins. I mean, we're seeing some old school option tonight, and Chip Kelly will throw anything in there, dude. He just goes crazy with getting anything and everything he wants out of this team, and I love to see it.
Yeah, you have to pick your poison with that team, right? You pick Will Howard or Trey, Quinshawn Junkins, and even James People. They're going to make you pay. I mean, if you pick them, then Will Howard's going to make you pay. Like we saw him score a touchdown. So I'm loving it, man. This is what we said. People said we got the talent, we got the roster. You want to see it, and that's what you want to see. All of your playmakers getting involved. And, with all these playmakers, it's like there's only one football. Ryan Day always talked about that. And that's why when you get those opportunities, you have to make the most of them.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And you know who made the most of his opportunities today? Was Quinshawn Judkins, who had 9 carries, 2 touchdowns. Should have been 3, but we'll leave that for another conversation another day. You also had Travion Henderson, 10 carries, 2 touchdowns. Between the two of them, they combined for 174 yards. You also had James Peoples getting into the game. He had a big long run, and then he had a touchdown as well. And Will Howard, he had himself a touchdown run also. So 6 total touchdowns on the ground today. Really felt like it could have been more through the passing game, but I mean, we're getting into the red zone, Mike, and converting, and a lot of this conversion is happening through the run game. Feels like this was a missing piece to Ryan Day and his offense, was figuring out how do we get the ball into the end zone, not just through big pass plays and throwing it up to our guys, but also just on the ground. Good decision making by the quarterback who's getting the ball to the right guys. It's fantastic to see, and I couldn't be more happy with 6 rushing touchdowns on the day.
Check this out. So rushing wise, you had Quinshawn Judkins, Travion Henderson, James People, Sam William Dixon, Will Howard, Julian Sang, and Devin Brown. Out of the 7, 6 of them averaged 5 yards per carry when rushing the ball. That is insane. Think about the last time we actually could say that. It don't matter what game, but I mean, you had 6 people. That's beautiful to see, man.
It truly is, man. It truly is. This rushing attack, and it goes back to the run blocking, right? Let's go to that for a minute. We brought up the wide receiver blocking. We brought up the running backs and what they were able to do. Man, I tweeted it out. I can't remember the last time I saw an Ohio State offensive line this successful run blocking, not just for portions of the game, but for the entire game. I mean, guys weren't having to bounce it to the outside because there wasn't room there. And you know who I was really impressed with was Travion Henderson. Man, he was putting his head down. He was getting into those
Bruh.
holes, and he was running and trying to get through any guy he could. Now, sometimes maybe it would have been a little bit better to punch it out to the outside, but I felt like that was his way of instilling confidence in his guys in the offensive line and saying, look, guys, I trust you. I trust you're going to open up the holes for me. And he believed in them. So 66 yards for him tonight on 10 carries. Like you said, over 5 yards per carry, 6.6 yards per carry in the game. It's awesome to see. What was your thoughts on the run blocking?
The run blocking, just what did we want to see? We saw last week, we was like, they got some identification issues, who to block, things like that. This offense was still humming, and our starting left guard wasn't even out there yet. I mean, and again, go to see the reps. You see the backups get in, and then they go, and James Peoples making plays and able to rush for, like I said, over 5 yards a carry. This is exactly what you want to see, and it just gives you confidence because we talked going into the season about the depth of the offensive line, and it gives you so much confidence. And then, a lot of people was worried about Justin Fry. Now, we still want to see a little bit more in recruiting. But one thing that I can say is he's developing guys, right? And to be honest, I don't care about the stars. I don't. I care about development because, like I has been on record saying, it never mattered about the stars whenever we had a national championship team. It wasn't no full row of 5 stars. We had some guys who we knew wasn't gonna make the NFL, right? On those championship teams. So give Fry a break, man. Shout out to him, and then the other offensive line guys. Skipping my mind that we brought in did a great
Drevno.
job as well. Yeah, Drevno.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm all about it, man. I will critique a coach if I feel like there's something that needs to be critiqued, but I'm also going to give the guys flowers if he does something well. And guess what? Like tonight, he did something really well. He got these guys ready. To me, it felt like the first game, some of the issues were just lack of understanding the scheme and some of what they were supposed to do, which is the first game. Like, I'm not going to go, all in on the team because they don't understand everything. That's why you play the games. We talk about it all the time. You said earlier, like game reps are different than practice reps, especially when you don't know what the other team is doing. Talk about a team who didn't know what the other team was doing and how that affected them earlier today. We can talk about that later if we want. But like, if you don't know what the other team is doing, that makes things different, and it's a different kind of game you have to play. So I felt like this was an offensive line who understood their assignments, understood what they were supposed to be doing. It felt like Justin Fry got those guys in the film room. And that's one of the reasons why that I liked that Austin Sareveld played today, that it wasn't Donovan Jackson. Listen, I love Donovan Jackson. I think that he is a deserving All-American. He's going to have his tree in Buckeye Grove. That's fantastic. But I also think you need to have some of these other guys developing, and these reps for Austin Sareveld are, they are just invaluable. They are exactly what he needs for his development, for him to grow. And I can expect next year when Austin Sareveld is one of the starting guards for this team, he is going to be so much better than what he would have been at the beginning of the year because of the valuable reps he got in these first 2 games, if not more than that.
I agree.
All right. All right. Let's talk about Will Howard. We're 30 minutes into the show. We haven't really talked about Will Howard. We touched on him here and there, but Will Howard, man. My take. Great day. Great decision making. I mean, he had some underthrown balls. Those are kind of a concern, but decision making overall. He saw that corner on that play that Jeremiah Smith had where he went 70 yards. Like that corner thought he was going to sneak out that screen and go take that to the house. Turns out, Will Howard saw him cheating over a little bit, and so Will Howard found Jeremiah Smith so fast, it got by the safety, heading for the end zone. Excellent decision making there. What he was doing in the RPO, like people compare Kyle McCord and Will Howard, and I'm not trying to diss Kyle McCord here, but I feel like Will Howard's decision making and what he is willing to do is on a different level than Kyle McCord. That's not me saying that Kyle McCord is bad. That's just me saying, like, I feel like he brings an aspect to this team that Kyle McCord wouldn't, and that is ultimately better for this team. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, man. Will Howard, he's bringing a different swagger. Well, what we're seeing the offense out there. I remember last year watching the Indiana game, watching some of them other games. The offense, even though we were winning, they didn't look too happy. But all you seeing is these guys rallying around each other. You see Will taking, as Ryan Day had been saying all offseason, taking command of the offense. That's what we see from Will Howard, and that's what he's bringing. And these guys are able to go ahead, be confident, have that swag out there because of our single caller. They trust him. And these are the same guys that was there last year. They obviously trust him more than the guys that was there than the single caller that was there last year. And I like it. He's only been in the program, for a few months. And he's able to take command of the guys. That means that in the offseason, he really gained their trust and really showed them something. And we're getting to see it.
100%, man. I feel like Will Howard is the definition of what you want a leader to be, at least on this team, because he is out there with his guys. I mean, he's dapping them up every chance he gets. I mean, if you ever get a peek of him on the sideline, there's never a point where he's sitting by himself. And unfortunately, not every quarterback is built like that. Like, there are a lot of quarterbacks that kind of like to be on their own and kind of like to process the game and stuff. And I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm saying I don't think that's what this team responds well to. I think Ryan Day wants his quarterback with those guys, working with those guys as much as possible, encouraging them. Hey, here's what I would like to see different. Hey, here's what I thought you did. Did you do something else here? And I feel like that's exactly the kind of stuff that you are getting from Will Howard. It's fantastic to see. And it was also fantastic to see the other quarterbacks getting out there. Mike, we saw Julian Sayin with the long touchdown pass to Bennett Christian. We also saw Devin Brown. Lincoln Keenholz was out there as well. It's really, really fun to see. What were your thoughts on the three other guys that played?
Yeah, honestly, man, it looks like Devin Brown getting reps, looking more comfortable. His arm talent, I think, is amazing. Very strong arm, was able to go out there and be accurate, and it just looks like he's settling down. And that's just the one thing it seems like, you know, players do when they get more reps, like I've been saying. So I like what I seen from Devin Brown, and I was glad that they got him in there pretty early. And then Julian saying, like I said, you just see the future. It's hard not to get excited and think about the future and think about what will be. But you just know if this team is able to continue to perform like that, and then our coaches, because I remember we used to complain, man, it's the fourth quarter, we're a big, and they ain't put the backups in. The fact that they're trusting them is going to give the fans, even if, knock on wood, nobody goes down, but it is football. It just allows us to even have trust in them. And then now it allows them to go ahead and build on it game after game. And so now, they get this bye week going into the bye week. And I want to see them pick up with the same thing against Marshall. And I want to see Devin Brown, Julian Sayin go out there and be consistent again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to next. The bye week coming up. I mean, this is going to be good. We don't really have a ton of injury concerns to watch out for. Donovan Jackson was available today, it sounded like. So it was kind of like break glass in case of emergency, but there's no really other injuries out there that need to be, figured out. So there's not a whole lot of concern there, but I'm excited for them to watch the tape, get in the room. I'm excited that right before the bye week, they get a really good game where they're going to have a lot of good stuff that they can point out on the film. Now, obviously, you're always going to have some film that you say, hey, could have had this block, or hey, could have done this different here, whatever it might be. But I'm excited for that to happen. And with this team coming out against Marshall, like like Western Michigan, I don't want people to get it twisted. Like this is a pretty good team. Like for a MAC team, this was a pretty good team. I think this team is better than Marshall. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much, but the way I look at it, like I just want this team to come out against Marshall and see
Right.
no issues, nothing like with got too arrogant, got too cocky or anything like that. Like no slow start, just get out there, do what you're supposed to do, handle your business. And when it comes to the third quarter, we got Devin Brown out there, we got the backup wide receivers, them getting their time because like we said, it's invaluable that these guys are only playing 2 quarters and then they're fresh and ready to go for the next week.
Elite teams, or shall I say, top dogs, it doesn't matter who's in front of them. You put a top dog in front of another dog who's scared or who's inferior, it doesn't matter. They go and bite that dog's head off, So I'm just that's what I want to see. I want to see these guys go out there, be dogs. Like Coach Locke said in the skull session, we smell blood and we coming with blood and thunder, man. So I just want them guys to go play with their hair on fire, because here's the thing. You're not playing the opponent. These games that Ohio State have lost these past years, I don't really feel like it's been because teams have beaten us. It's because we beat ourselves. So that's what I want to see. I want to see us continue week in, week out, building on that, cleaning up the mistakes, definitely cleaning up them penalties, because the penalties got to go. Them guys that committed the penalties, I make them run the stadium. But I'm not
Yeah. No, I agree. Brian Myers brought it up. I agree. That was one of the only negatives coming out of this game. I do think you can, you live with it. It's not like, it's going to be the worst thing in the world, but you're right. People are going to be running next week because you just can't have those. Like in a big game against one of these premier opponents, you just can't have that happening. Those are free yards for the other team. We saw it. We saw it with that team up north this weekend, right? They were having a few penalties here and there. Texas should have scored on that very first drive against them, but they had some false starts. They had some holding penalties that went against them. Mike, I think we covered everything from this game, but I know there's some people probably wanting to hear about everything else going on in the college football world. So let's start with that team up north, right? Okay, so they lose today against Texas. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It was embarrassing. Like, even though Texas is a really good team, I saw some people saying like, well, Texas is a really good team. Yeah, well, you know what? It's still embarrassing to lose like that. We've lived through Clemson 31-0. It doesn't matter if it's a playoff game, if the team is a playoff team, whatever. It's still embarrassing. It leaves you with a sore taste in your mouth. Do you attribute it to the Connor Stallions effect? What's your thoughts on it, Mike?
All right, so this has been my take this whole time. That program is built on nothing but fake confidence, and it's built on sand. And that's why I said that the tide came in, the water came in. What happens when you build a sandcastle right there on the beach? When the water comes in, just washes it away. And that's exactly what we saw. What did this remind you of? Let me see. This reminded me of 2020 Team Up North. Oh, that's what they were before all the crap happened, right? Here's the thing. You can't sit here and say that you play football, say that the game is a game of inches, then sit here and say that, oh, it takes a bit of luck, and then do what you did and say it meant nothing. So,
like, did you see the pregame with the Barstool? Like, with them putting Connor Stallions up on the stage and everything? Like,
it blows my mind, because didn't his lawyer come out and say he's been through enough? So why do you continue to egg it on? Why do you continue to push it? And it's like, here, NCAA, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's just like laughing in their face. And I mean, I guess the NCAA must not going to do anything, because I mean, I felt like today was the best day to drop, And honestly, what I said the NCAA do is just go ahead. This is something that's unprecedented. So go ahead and do something unprecedented, and then go ahead, since they want to make everything so public, go ahead and have a press conference and say, we had to have a press conference to tell everything that went on, because this has never happened before. Just go ahead and embarrass them. Let us see every single detail y'all found out about what they was doing.
Yeah, especially if there's practice footage, right? I mean, that's the big rumor going around. I don't know how true it is. Like, I haven't
Yeah.
dug deep into that, but guess what? It started on the message boards. And guess who's been right more often than not in this whole thing? It's the message boards. Like, it's wild. But the Ohio State message boards have been on point with this stuff. Now, is there stuff they got wrong? Sure.
Of
Everybody
course.
gets a little, a little too much into it and takes things to the next level. But I mean, the message boards have been on point with a lot of this stuff, and they're already starting to talk about the practice footage. So could it be? I have no idea on that front, but I'm with you, man. Like the NCAA, Michigan has done everything that they have wanted to try and do to embarrass the NCAA. I would love it if the NCAA just comes out and it's like, hey, no more. You know, like you want to come embarrass us, you want to come talk about us. Like here is every little thing that you did that we are going to get you for because
Hmm.
guess what? You tried to make a mockery of us, you tried to make a mockery of college football, and you're not going to have any of it. So not only are you going to get embarrassed on the field against Texas and probably USC and probably Washington and probably Oregon and Ohio State, heck, Indiana might beat them this season, man. There are no guaranteed wins on the schedule. Arkansas State maybe, but there are no other guaranteed wins on the schedule for them after what we saw today. That offensive line is putrid. That quarterback does not know what he is doing. The wide receivers, that might be the worst
Garbage.
set of wide receivers in Power 4 college football. I'm not exaggerating. They don't know what they're doing. And Colston Loveland looked like a shell of himself today. So, Michigan fans, if you're in here, clip that up, put it on Twitter, whatever. You can bookmark it till the end of till the end of everything. I'm not gonna be wrong on that. I've been waiting to see your downfall because I knew it was coming. But here it is. They're down. They're out. And Ohio State's come back to the champions of the Big Ten. I'm calling it right now.
Hey, and you're not wrong. Here's the thing. Here's the part that's the killer. You had people like Joel Klatt who was saying, "Oh, they still return this great old line. They're a developmental program. You know, they didn't lose much. The staff, Sharon Moore is still there, so the offensive line is going to be great. You know, they got Donovan Edwards. You know, these national pundits did this, and it's just crazy. They fell for it. These guys get paid millions of dollars or six figures, seven figures to actually know the game of football and talk about the game of football. And it's like they have no knowledge of it. You still push the BS propaganda. And now look at it. You didn't mention anything that else that could have possibly went wrong with this fall off. No, they're a good team. And they got blown out. That was supposed to be a top 10 matchup in their house.
Yep. Yep. I don't normally like to go after, folks and talk down about them and stuff like that, but like this is one of the biggest reasons why I think you need to be on YouTube and finding good awesome like YouTube content creators who actually know football because guess what? Guys like Joel Klatt, guys like JD Pickell, Josh Pay, all these dudes, they don't have any real takes. Their takes are what management tells me to say because it's
Facts.
all for clicks. It's all now, do they have some of their own opinions that they insert in? I'm sure some of their things here and there. But guess what? Those groups, Fox, 24/7, those groups, they were like, hey, we don't want to lose our entire, Michigan fan base from subscribing over here. So, don't go in too hard on them. Like sprinkle a little bit in to give Ohio State fans, to make them a little happy. But overall, like don't go too hard on them because we don't want to lose their entire fan base. Guess what? Here here on YouTube, you have honest creators who know ball. Now there's some creators who don't know ball. Sure. I mean, it's going to happen. You can't just listen to anybody, but you have honest creators who know ball who are actually going to talk about it. And it's tough because I like Joel Klatt, man. Like I think Joel Klatt does a good job during games, and I like listening to his show before all the stuff with the team up north happened and how he defended him. But it's all coming back to earth now. We're seeing how much, like you said, that program was built on sand, and they made possibly two of the worst coordinator hires I think they could have possibly made. They made a coordinator hire on the defensive side that got ran out of the NFL. Talk to Chris Drew; he'll tell you everything about his
Don
Giants and how
Brown
much he
2.0.
hated. Yeah, how much he hated Wink and how he's Don Brown 2.0, and just go look at Kirk Campbell, his history, man. Like he got ran out of Old Dominion. Old Dominion. He got ran out of there as offensive coordinator. Does he know QBs? Sure. Whatever. Like he's had some success as a QB coach, but he's not made as an offensive coordinator. And this season with that team up north is going to show that.
Hey, this is a good question right here. Will they still treat that guy like a hero when that team up north has to vacate those 3 seasons? And I'll say if, like Brian's question isn't an if, but I'll say if they vacate those, will they still, treat, Jim Harbaugh, and will they still treat, Sharon Moore and Connor Stallions? Are they going to still parade him around if everything's vacated?
I think like your Michigan fanboys on Twitter that do anything and everything to prop up Michigan because they can't live in a reality where that team up north isn't good at football. They probably won't. They'll probably say, "Oh, he found a loophole. He never actually cheated," that kind of stuff. But like you're honest fans, and like there are some that team up north podcasts that I listen to that are honest guys, and they might be a little biased, but like I mean, go listen. Go. I mean, I don't know how many of you actually want to, but if you want to listen to some honest Team Up North fans talking about their team today, the voice of college football, like those guys over there, they were very honest on their thoughts about the game. Now, I'm sure some of it is the emotion after the big loss and stuff like that, but I think guys like that will eventually say like, yeah, Connor Stallions wrecked our program. Jim Harbaugh, like he gutted this program because he did not want to get the stuff from the NCAA that he knew was coming, and he took everybody with him. He took the coaches, he took the nutritionists, he took the recruiting directors. You don't even need recruiting directors in the NFL, Jim, but he still took them because they all knew they were getting in trouble, and they all knew things were not looking good for him in the future.
Yeah, I mean they're all looking at show causes. So I mean, they have families to feed, and the team up north fans, like the realistic ones, I'm cool with them. I like them, but those ones who told me and I was out there saying that it was gonna be the same thing and status quo and all of that stuff, y'all gotta stand in the paint. And y'all not doing that because y'all are acting like roaches when the lights come on. Scattered all around. I don't see it.
I saw one of them today on Twitter. He was like, I don't want to have anybody talk to me if they haven't won a national championship or won the conference in the past 3 years or something like that. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like you just don't want to be talked to because man. All right, last thing, really fast. Let's hit on it because I saw people talk about it earlier, and it's halftime now. Man, Boise State, they're up 20-14 at halftime over Oregon. I mean, I've got it on over here. I don't really have like a great analysis for it. I'm sure other people are probably watching it more intently than I am. But what are your thoughts on Oregon struggling against Idaho now in the first half against Boise State, who is a good G5 team? Like I'm not gonna say like this is a bad G5, but still a G5 team. What's your thoughts, Mike?
I had it on this screen over here. So I mean, here's the thing. This is what I said going into this game. I knew Boise had a good rushing attack, a good offense, but I didn't think that they really had a defense. You're struggling to put up points on this defense. Like, this is what I tried to tell these Pac-12 fans, these Oregon fans about, the Big Ten. And you haven't even faced the Big Ten opponent yet. Like, you talking about, hey, y'all don't play offenses and da-da-da. But if you're struggling against an opponent like Boise State, are you really ready for these Big Ten defenses that you're going to see week in, week out what the Big Ten is known for? I mean, this honestly, coming into this season, I said Oregon's probably going to be the number 2 team. We could possibly see them, once in the season, once in the Big Ten championship, and then another time in the playoffs. That was possible. Right now, they're not looking like the number 2 team. in the Big Ten. Hard for me to even say the number 3 team in the Big Ten. And those boys better pray that they ain't got Rutgers on their schedule. I do know USC got Rutgers on their schedule, so I'm looking forward to those matchups.
Yeah, man, and even Penn State today, they were struggling
Oh
with
Lord.
Bowling Green. So, Drew Aller had a little bit of J.J. McCarthy in him from Bowling Green last year. Now, he didn't have 3 picks, but he struggled. He didn't have a great game, and that was tough for them. At this point, man, I feel like Ohio State's ahead of the Big Ten, and it's not really all that close. And I'm just like, man, if we take care of business the way we're supposed to, and I do say if because there are no guarantees in college football. You still got to get out there and play. But if Ohio State takes care of business, I don't know who they face in the Big Ten championship. It looks like USC, but USC has a gauntlet of a schedule, especially
Mm-hmm.
in the Big Ten. They do have most of their hard games at home, but still, like there's a lot of hard games on that schedule. So we'll see what happens. But man, I tell you, I'm feeling better about this Oregon matchup than I was earlier on because I feel like Oregon has a lot of talent. Oregon is very, very talented. Dylan Gabriel is talented. He's not the tallest, he's not the biggest, but he's talented. Tez Johnson, Evan Stewart. I do feel like they have guys in the offensive line that are talented, but I just feel like there's no leadership on this team, and that's what you kind of run the risk of when you get all these players out of the portal is where's your leadership? Where are the guys that are going to get in the face of the other guys? You just have a whole bunch of hired mercenaries out there, and I think that's a little bit of what Oregon is going through. Can Dan Lanning put it together? Sure, I think Dan Lanning has done a good job in his first 2 years as a head coach. Not fantastic, probably not top 10 worthy like some people put him at, but he's done a pretty good job and he's learning. But this is a huge test for him if he can get some of these mercenaries together and have them function as a team and not just trying to go out there and do what's best for them.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. This is what I love about Ryan Day. He doesn't normally go out and lose to the teams he's not supposed to. You know what I'm saying? So I can say that about Ryan Day. I like that. And this is what I try to tell people. It doesn't matter how much talent that you have in your program. When you get a first time new head coach, there are going to be things that they have to work out. These coaches used to have to go G5 program before they moved up, like how Urban did, before he got to Florida. He had to go Bowling Green, then Utah, then he had to go to Florida. So he got to make some mistakes, got to learn about those mistakes, got to fix those. Then he go to Utah, learns mistakes there, got to fix those. And then he got to go to Florida. Like most of these coaches, I mean, it even took Kirby 5-6 years, and he learned under the greatest coach of all time, and Nick Saban. Took Nick Saban about 10 plus years before he got his first one, right? This happens. It's gonna be okay. You just wade in the water with it, man. These young coaches that are making their mistakes on the biggest stages now. And that is part of it. And a lot of these people just don't want to be realistic or, just can't take the fan blinders on. But as a real ball knower, there's going to be first time mistakes.
Yeah, man, and I'm right with you. What you were saying about Ryan Day. I think I read a stat the other day. I haven't double checked it, but Ryan Day is the first head coach in over 50 years to start 40-0, 41-0 now versus unranked teams. Like I, that's ridiculous. You can talk about third base and all this stuff, whatever you want to talk about. Who cares at this point? You say whatever you want to help yourself figure out that you don't have Ryan Day as your coach. But like, if anything, like this year is showing me just how valuable Ryan Day is because you got so many other teams struggling, you got so many other teams having a hard time, and I'm thankful that we have Ryan Day, and man, I am rooting for him so hard to beat that team up north this year because he has to get that done to, validate himself as that coach to all of Buckeye Nation. He's already validated it to me. I believe in him, but
Facts.
he's going to have to do that to validate it to all of Buckeye Nation as well. So, and that's the other thing is like he improves every single year. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Ryan Day, and granted, I don't pay enough attention to every single program like I do Ohio State to see this, but I feel like every single year Ryan Day has identified an issue with him as a coach or something he was doing or something on his team, and he said that's something we need to fix. That's something we need to figure out. This year it was the play calling. Now he's much more the CEO. He's going out doing a ton of interviews. He's vying for more funding from the NIL and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, if Ryan Day continues to do that, you're right, man. These young coaches, they're gonna have their bumps and bruises, but they keep improving, they keep learning, they keep up with that stuff. It's gonna be much better for the team overall and fun to see.
Yep, I talked about that. I want to say a couple years ago, or maybe last year when we started Best Damn Media. I'd always say, I said that's the one thing that I can say about Ryan Day, that he has always just continued to fix the problems. He don't let it linger, and that was, my issue with what I call after national championship Urban, was he allowed things to linger and fester, and you could kind of see now you got to rebuild that whole part. Well, that's not Ryan Day's MO. It's like, okay, it's here, we're not going to go down here, we're going to try to go up here. And I also got to shout out him this: Coach Locke is the most underrated hire. These running backs are running with a different physicality that we have not seen since Stan Drayton. I'm
Yeah,
going to
no, I
say,
think you're right. Yeah, I think
yeah.
you're right.
I mean, as Coach Locke like to say, no soft batch cookies, man. And I mean, the guys, we was in the halftime space, and that's all people was saying was, can we just say and talk about Travion Henderson, how he's looking different? And I had to give him his flowers because I was probably like one of his most critical people. I hated how he went down with arm tackles and things like that. Trey is looking for the contact. This man didn't even have to make contact one time. And I saw him just go ahead and get it, lower his pass down, and make a hit. I mean, Coach Locke, underrated, definitely an upgrade from Benedict Alford. That's up there in 2A.
Yeah, he's not having a good time up there. I got a tweet that he sent at me where he said he's having a good time up there in that team up north, and I got that bookmarked for a while now. So Tony, if you're listening, you might want to go back, search my handle, and delete that tweet because I'm gonna be coming for you at the end of the season when you're 7-5, 8-4, 6-6, whatever you are, man. I don't care, whatever it is. I know Ohio State's winning that game, so.
I
All right.
want to say this. I want to
Yeah,
say
go ahead.
this because I said this. Hey, Team Up North fans, remember this? Back to life, back to reality. Yeah, that's back for y'all, baby. Fantasyland is over.
Stallions is gone. I'm for it, man. I'm for it. Any thoughts on Notre Dame? We didn't hit on them. They lose to Northern Illinois, another MAC team. Man, the MAC is giving people problems today. Any
Hey,
thoughts on that
man.
before we get out of here?
Hey, these MAC teams said we got a chance to get to the 12-team playoffs, man. We actually got a real chance. So these guys been balling out. I like to see it. Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman, again, a young head coach. Got to work things out. Shout out to my boy KVA. Somebody lied to that man. Wish he was a Buckeye because that dude's a baller. Definitely deserved to be in the Scarlet and Gray. But holla at me in the portal, my guy.
Him and Dylan Stewart. Dylan,
Yeah,
you want to come up here? Come let us know. Dylan Stewart is a
yeah.
beast, dude.
I tamper for. I don't care. I take whatever punishment the NCAA gonna hand down for the Dylan Stewart, bro. I will take it.
Yeah, man. Hey, we got a super chat up there from Sean Garner. Let's pull that up real
All
fast,
right.
Mike.
Yes, sir.
All right, $20 from Sean Garner. Thank you so much, Sean. We appreciate your contribution and supporting the show. Our guys on the outside were blocking like dogs tonight. The D played unselfishly, ferociously, and resiliently. Team seemed pissed over last week. Hey, that's something we didn't touch on very much, Mike. Like this team did seem pissed off. They seemed ticked off. Like
Mhm.
they won 52-6, and they're like, "You still got problems? You still got something to say about our performance, our run blocking, whatever it is?" Well, we're gonna leave you with no doubt. That whole mantra they had. What's your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, man. And that's what you want to see from a defense. This is what they told us all season. Never satisfied, always hungry. Act like you have not accomplished your goal yet. Play with your hair on fire every time you go out there. Leave no doubt. And one thing that I have always heard is your team takes on a persona of the head coach. And I just feel now that Ryan Day, because this is the thing. Shout out Burn, because he has said like Ryan Day is a competitive guy. I remember when we first hired Ryan Day, someone I don't remember who put the story out, but they talked about his childhood, how he was always competitive. And I think the one thing that has been missing is Ryan Day's whole impact on the entire team, because he had to be the quarterback's coach, the play caller. But now that you see him being on the special teams, being in all the meeting rooms, you can actually see the competitive nature of this team taking over that they have from Ryan Day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they have that competitive spirit, and I think it means something that he's going into those rooms and he's not like, "Hey, check, double check, you guys good? Jim, you running everything okay here in the defense? Parker, everything okay in the special teams?" No, like you said, he's got time. He's not the quarterback coach anymore. He's not the offensive coordinator anymore. He's got time to go into that defensive meeting room and say, "What in the world is going on? Why aren't our linebackers in the A gap? Why aren't why aren't you on the outside going after this guy?" He's doing all that stuff. Special teams, especially. Man, Brandon Ennis was bottled up this game, but dude, he's gonna break one. I feel it coming.
Honestly, I wouldn't even call it bottled up. I think that they watched film of that dude and said, "We want no business of this," and made sure, because if you watch the punter, and to be honest, I think that Ryan Day might have missed an opportunity to say, "Hey, let's go block that punt," because the punter was holding the ball for a few extra seconds before kicking it, because he was trying to allow his punt coverage to get down there. So, I mean, I wouldn't say bottled up. I would say it was game plan to not allow him to get the ball. But I'll say this: he saw what happened with that Jay and Ballard stuff and being backed up in the one, and he said, "No, no, no." He did not let that. There was a time he could have just let the ball, or should have let the ball bounce and just go. He said, "Nah, I'm catching it." Ryan Day want good field position. I'm gonna get my man good field position. This is what we asked for. This is what we've been asking for, and Ryan Day delivered again.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, man. It feels like everybody on this team knows their role. They're unselfish and they want to go do it. So Brandon is, even though he's the fourth wide receiver, he knows his role is on special teams. These wide receivers, they know in the run game, it's their role to go out there and block. And if Quinshon Judkins breaks a 70-yard run, like it's not just Quinshon Judkins, it's all those receivers who were blocking and everything too. Man, last thing, I know I said last thing a couple times. You see G Scott take that dude and just kick him out the club. Like,
No,
geez,
I might
Scott,
have missed that one.
he had a couple holdings and stuff like that in that game, so stuff he's gonna work on. But man, on the I think it was the Emeka Buka kind of screen pass thing, G Scott just grabbed a hold of one of the guys and just like all the way into the Ohio State bench. Like when he got out of bounds, it wasn't done. He just kept going and going
Let's
and going,
go.
and that dude was not going anywhere. I love to see it. I love to see the unselfish play, people working together. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
That's what I like to hear, man. That's what
Yeah.
I love to hear. Uh, we just gonna have to build on it, man. And Ryan Day made an emphasis of getting the tight ends more involved, wanting to see more out of them, and we did. Now we cleaned up them holders. I just think G just need to clean that up a little bit, and we'll be fine. Because here's the thing, and this is I remember when we had Ted again, and or even when Ted Ginn was in the NFL, basically for like his first punt return, he was about to, or kick return, he took it to the house and somebody was holding. And I'm like, when you have certain athletes like this, you do not have to hold. You can basically let go, just throw your arm, like put your body in a way at that point. That's all you have to do is slow guys down sometimes. So because what I am seeing is when our running backs see that hole, they're hitting it with a different burst than what they have the past couple years.
Yeah, it looks like confidence to me. It looks like confidence in themselves and confidence in everybody else as well. And I think that's something Coach Locke, like you were talking about earlier, I think that's something he is definitely bringing to these guys. He's giving them confidence and he's saying, look, you're not going to be soft. You're not going to go in there. If you're playing, I'm confident in you so you can be confident in yourself. Love to see it. Love to see it. Mike, anything else you want to bring up before we get out of here?
JR, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, man. JR's Rankings on Twitter. You can find me over there. Also do some work for Big Ten content as well. So if you want to hear more from me on the Big Ten Huddle, check me out over there on YouTube and on Twitter, posting stats and analysis, stuff like that on Twitter as well. So even if you don't want to listen to a Big Ten podcast, you can still go over there and follow me on Twitter for more Big Ten content. Like I said, JR's Rankings on Twitter, the Big Ten Huddle on Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah, and you can find me right on Twitter at 216_wildboy and on YouTube. I will be doing Buckeye BS on Best Damn Media YouTube at 10 a.m. Check us out over there. And also, make sure that you like this video. I think JR and myself did a pretty good job. I hope y'all enjoyed yourselves. And then let's go ahead, get this chat even more packed than what it was today. Share this video. Let your fellow Buckeye fans know where they should join right after every game right here. Voice of College Football, Ohio State channel. Tap in with me and JR every week. Don't got a game next week, but we'll be there for the Marshall game, man. Anything else, JR?
No, just don't miss us too much, guys. We'll be back. Don't worry.
All right. We out of here, y'all.
Later.